Hello world, good morning. This is Joia, and today I'm here with Laura. You're gonna have to tell me again how I pronounce your last name.
Alotaibi.
Alotaibi. Laura
Yes.
Alotaibi is the founder of Venues and More. But I know you have a really interesting entrepreneurial story because you didn't always start out as a founder. You were a teacher
Yes,
before.
I was a teacher before.
So tell us some of that journey. Tell us about you were a teacher, and then how and why did you make this big leap to become an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joia, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. So I started this journey as a teacher. Like you said, I was a fourth, fifth, and sixth grade teacher. I was very happy with what I was doing, but I had a personal problem. And I struggled to book a birthday party for my three kids. And I just thought, why does it have to be so frustrating? Why do I have to call during office hours? Why isn't there a marketplace that exists for birthday parties? And I got frustrated every year when they had a birthday party. I don't know why I have to keep calling. And so one year I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. And I talked to my husband. He says, you know, you've been thinking about this for a while. It's a great idea. You have a year to prove yourself. So
Mhm.
we are currently at the year mark, so I can I can circle back to that. But he just kind of said, you know, let's try it. And so I knew nothing about websites, but I knew what the vision of Venues and More was going to be. It was going to be an
Mhm.
online marketplace for the party industry, which currently doesn't exist. And so I just started talking to developers last summer, and it was just super expensive to develop a website, as many entrepreneurs out there will know. Um, and I just came up with a solution to build the website, and I built it and kind of manage it myself. And so I found a way to create the website without the help of a developer. So after doing that, we launched very quickly, and we launched in the Dallas area because that's where I'm from. And then my entrepreneur journey just kind of started. And I've been working on this for a year now. And I'm excited to report that, you know, we have a lot of momentum and made a lot of progress, and just excited to see where it's going to be in a year from now. I would love to have this conversation again and just kind of see how far it's grown.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to plan to do that. Plan for November of 2020. But take me
Absolutely.
back to last year, because one of the things you said that I found really interesting was getting over this hurdle of the website. And I see this, I think we're in a really interesting space now when it comes to the entrepreneurial scene. There are still so many tech startups where
Right.
developing the tech is part of the DNA of what the company is all about. But I think now in 2019, we're also starting to see, because there is all of this wonderful technology that's already been developed, it's allowing people who don't have any kind of tech background, someone like yourself who came from this background of being as a teacher, but who has an idea for a business that could potentially utilize the technology and create something of value for people. So tell us a little bit about how you actually got over this website hurdle.
Yeah, thank you so much. So right now in the entrepreneurial space, there is a lot of buzz about no code development. And it's exactly what you said. You have an idea. So I had an idea for the website. I don't have the skills to code, but I have the passion and the drive, and I want to, you know, put 100% in this. I quit teaching, and I want to make this work. And so there are a lot of no code tools that are available. And I would say that if you're an entrepreneur and you are in the idea phase, and you're really, you know, struggling with dumping a bunch of money into a website, see if there are no code tools available for you to develop the website for yourself. And then, you know, later on down the line, I do plan on, you know, improving my website, developing an app, and I have lots of ideas for venues and more, and but I'm very thankful for the no-code tools that are out there currently.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit then about some of this 1 year journey, because I know even just from talking to a lot of entrepreneurs that a lot of times the first year really is the hard year because there's so much you don't know and you don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of that journey? Because I think one of the lessons too is, how you even get to year one is because you persevere through it. And I can hear that that's part of your story too. So tell us a little bit about that. Was there any maybe kind of big mistake that you made that you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. I mean, if I think about where I started with nothing. And I built a website and I have users and on both sides of the marketplace. And so a lot of my success I'm crediting to just getting out there, having the boots on the ground, networking. I go to a lot of networking events. Last week I went to 7. That was a big event, and I try to go to different types of events, different groups. Some of them are marketing with the business world, so that way, if they have an idea for a party, for a corporate party, they'll come to me. Hopefully. And then I also market with the mom world. So this is why I started Venues and More, is to really help those parents who are working full time and need to book a party and want to do it after hours. And so I network with them. And so I just try to spread it out, and I try to get to know as many people as I can, because you never know what that relationship will be like in the future. For instance, I had a real estate agent that I met a year ago at a networking event. We have not communicated since the year. She called me up last week. Hey, Laura, I'm part of this nonprofit. We're doing a gala for 200 people. What kind of vendors can you recommend? I know that you're in this space. And if I wouldn't have had this conversation with this real estate agent a year ago, she wouldn't call me about a gala. And I'm not saying that that's something that's scalable, because it's definitely not scalable because I'm only one person, but it's a really great starting point for any business, is to get out there, network, even if it's uncomfortable. I've done presentations, and I myself am an introvert, and so I prefer to just have one-on-one great conversations with people. However, sometimes you have to push yourself, and you have to think about, it's for the business. It's not about you. It's about the business. And more people needed to know about my brand, Venues and More. And so I started doing a lot of presentation with the 1 Million Cups organization. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they allow entrepreneurs to basically take the stage for 5 minutes, give a presentation about what they're doing, and get feedback from the audience. And that has been invaluable. And I've met so many amazing business owners from doing that. And is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. It is not something I enjoy doing. However, I know that I have to do that to kind of get my name out there. I've also started a podcast. And so this has really allowed me to have a greater reach with my business. It allows me to talk to my target audience. It also allows me to, roll out the red carpet for my vendors who are interested in being on the site or who are on the site. And I sit down and I have a conversation with them, and I learn so much just from doing the podcast. And so that's another skill set in itself. I never thought that I would ever have a podcast. I enjoy podcasts. Don't get me wrong. I love podcasts. But I just never saw myself as being a host. And I just really have to take my emotions out of it and just put my drive for my business in it, and just to make it happen. So in summary, a lot of networking, a lot of pushing yourself past where you think you would go. And also, attending meetups where other entrepreneurs are, to bounce ideas. I was just at a 1 Million Cups meeting in Frisco, And the lady that I was sitting next to was like, oh, we're going to have lunch. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And it's just, when you work for yourself, sometimes you need people to bounce ideas off of and get that validation. That could be your validation for the week that, maybe it's been a tough week, and we all have tough weeks. And so that's your validation for the week that, you know what, someone really finds value in my product. I'm going to keep working at it. And so just make as many connections as you can.
Yeah, you can give me so much here to talk about, but I hear that is the common theme, this idea of building connections, whether it's through going to networking events, whether it's through starting your own networking platform by
Yes.
building a podcast. So let's go deeper with that and tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you've gotten from making these connections, because I mean, obviously there's the clear answer that we want to get our brand in front of as many people as possible. We want as many people as possible who could potentially be our customers, or for you, your vendors. You want to get your name and your brand out there. But what I also hear you saying is that there's more to these connections than just perhaps the pure marketing efforts. You were talking
Right.
about some of the validation that you get, some of the
Absolutely.
feedback that you get. So tell us a little bit more about that. What have been some of the important, deeper things that have come out of all these great connections it sounds like you're continuing to make?
Absolutely. And I would say that if you're looking to network, that you don't focus on the hard sell, because that will never get you anywhere. I mean, I don't know what the odds are, or, the statistics behind that. But what I've found is if you make a genuine connection with somebody, you're going deep, you're asking them questions, instead of how's the weather, ask them about their kids. And then, maybe they're in the insurance industry, so they can't be a vendor on your site, but they have 3 kids. And so you want to just provide value. And so for my vendors, for everybody that I know, I just try to spew value. I have a meetup that I personally host for party professionals, and that's just for people to get to know each other. And I don't make any money from it. And it's just something that I do to add value. The podcast for my listeners, that's just adding value for them. They're trusting me. They're thinking about venues and more when they're booking a party. So I'm just a firm believer in that, if you're out there, you're, making these connections and they're genuine connections, then it'll come back to you. I don't believe in hard selling, but if someone wants to know about my podcast or my website, of course, I'm going to tell them, and I'm going to be so enthusiastic when I tell them. But I just really think it's about being genuine. And I could really go on for days and days with connections of vendors and people. And sometimes it's somebody that I meet and I don't need their services right away. But then, I keep thinking about them, and also, being organized and, keeping up with your conversations, because it can get lost in Gmail. And so if you are someone who takes notes, take a note and write down, follow up with this person in 6 months and just see where it goes. Sometimes it's a lunch, sometimes it's a coffee. I've had other moms just recommend other mom groups for me to network in. And so that's helpful. And so even though they weren't personally able to help me, they're like, oh, Laura, you need to check out this mom's group or this networking group or this opportunity. Or we would love you to speak at the Lions Club. And so I just try to take all those opportunities in. And opportunities like being on your podcast, thank you so much. And kind of, me getting to describe how my entrepreneurial journey has been for the past year. Maybe that's going to help somebody out. And if it helps somebody out, it's great. And if somebody's listening to this podcast and they're having the same frustration with booking birthday parties, maybe they'll check out my site and kind of see what's out there. So I just try to take as many opportunities as I can.
That sounds wonderful. So I'm going to pick up on something you said, and I want to ask you about your kids, because you told me you have
Absolutely.
triplets. And
Yes.
anytime, I mean, I have a couple of friends who have twins, and that to me just sounds mind-blowingly challenging and wonderful all at the same time. And I can't even imagine what it's like to have triplets. So tell us
Yes.
about having triplets and building a business as well.
Yes.
It's like you have
So
4 kids in a way.
5 if you include my husband. Uh, so yeah, so I have triplets and they are 8 years old right now. And, first starting out, they had 30 bottles a day that they went through. I'm sorry, 24 bottles a day, 30 diapers a day. And so you're just on a nonstop treadmill of constantly making formula, making bottles, changing babies, giving them a bath every day and just kind of getting in that habit. And I treated being a mother just like I did as being a teacher. I try to schedule it and tried to be deliberate. There was a time of day that I washed all of the bottles. And thank God my mom was on bottle duty because I'm not great with, washing. And so she would wash the bottles every night at a certain time. Then after the bottles dried, we would have to make the formula because the formula only lasts for 24 hours. So you would have to make pictures of formula, fill up all your bottles, and that's just for 24 hours. And then that's not about the laundry. They had a load of laundry a day at least. And so it was definitely a struggle, for starting off. And, in the I was a first time mom. So here I am pregnant. I'm pregnant with triplets. But if you fast forward to today, they are incredibly independent just because I needed that in my life and I needed them to be independent. They feel very worthy and they feel great about it. And so right now that translates into them coming into a podcast recording with me, and they're learning about venues and more. They're learning about business. They're learning how to talk. And so just trying to give them those life lessons. And so I schedule all of my networking meetings all around their school schedule. And so if they're in school, I am networking or I am working hard as I can. And then when they come home, my focus is on them. And then of course, if they're doing homework or, at a friend's place or at soccer, then I jump on my computer as fast as I can. We had one soccer practice recently that it was raining and I needed to get emails out. And so I was that mom in the car answering emails and updating my Facebook and just trying to do all of those things that were just on my list of things to do. And so you just try to fit it in as much as you can. Thank goodness, I can tether internet from my phone to my computer so I can work anywhere. And so I just try to squeeze in, and work around my kids' schedule and really keeping them first and their priorities first. For example, I volunteer for the school every Thursday. And so every Thursday morning, I try not to schedule anything because I'm there, I'm making copies. That's my superpower. I do that for 2 hours. And then, that provides value for the teachers who are there. And so I just try to keep them top of mind with whatever I do. And they have seen the business go from an idea to an MVP to a working prototype. And it is just, it's amazing. They ask me about it. And they're just very interested in what the product is. And even they can say what it is. And so as a teacher, we would always say, if you can teach it, you truly understand it. And my kids, you can have a genuine conversation with them about my website. And sometimes it's better than what I would say because they've heard it, they've learned the lesson. And I was at an event last night and my daughter is like, Mom, I need some business cards because these two vendors do birthday parties. And so I was like, okay. So she went up to them, handed my business card to them, told them all about the site and all of the benefits. And so they are just really learning, invaluable lessons about being an entrepreneur, about speaking up for themselves, about talking with people. I mean, sometimes I feel like kids miss out on that communication aspect because they're looking down at their tablets and they're not making the connection. I know that my daughter was listening to that vendor because she heard parties, and then she came back to me for a card, and I was volunteering at this event. And so I had no idea who she gave my card to. But I think I'll find out today.
I guess you will find out when you get the call from that person.
Yes.
And they say, "Oh, I talked to your daughter."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's great. And of course, I would always want to, give them that lesson of speaking up for themselves and being able to speak clearly and really have a good conversation. And I think those are good skills for anybody to learn. But I'm just glad and thankful that, my kids are learning from me. When I was a teacher, they were definitely learning from me. They were learning how to behave, and they saw me in the classroom, and, and so it's just kind of transferred over to the business world now. So it's interesting and fun. And I'm just excited that I'm in a position right now that they can still learn from me.
I love to hear how all these different strands of your life have all come together, and now they're just expressed in this business you have. So Absolutely. We're almost out of time, but let people know if they're interested to find out more about Venues and More, because I know probably a bunch of people in our audience, they're entrepreneurs. They might be looking to book, business kinds of events. And then of course, we all have our personal lives. I'm sure there are many people who have kids themselves. So tell us, how can we find out more about Venues and More and everything that you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. So a good starting point is just going to the website, venuesandmore.com, like Guns N' Roses, just the letter N.com. So venuesandmore.com. And there you can search all of our inventory. Currently, we have inventory in Dallas, Texas, and the surrounding area. But my site, my visions for my site is for it to be global and for me to help out vendors and small businesses all over the US and all over the world, because it's not just here that has the issue. It's all over that has the issue of booking birthday parties, and not birthday parties, but even corporate events. We've had DIY brides. So I built it for busy moms, but a lot of people are jumping on this and really using it to help them out in their everyday life. And so I would start there. If you listen to podcasts, if you really like podcasts, I have one called Party Planning Radio, which we talked about earlier. And it is so much fun. And I learned so many lessons from the entrepreneurs who are just in the same space as me. And so it's just really great conversations. And I learn a lot about party planning, and then also about the entrepreneurial journey. And I try to learn something from everybody that I have a conversation with. And I think that's the teacher side of me, is that I just want to keep learning. And I'm new to business, and it's just, I want to do as much as I can. And so I listen to business podcasts, I read business books, I read articles. And so I'm just diving deep. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked. But venuesandmore.com, and I'm also on all of the social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn. And so you're definitely welcome to, follow us there and let me know what you think about the podcast or the site. I'm always open for feedback, and I will give that feedback to my developers. So thank you so much for this platform and letting me talk about entrepreneurial journey and triplets and building a business. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now. Thanks for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe, review, and share this show. If you'd like exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insight, for just $4 a month, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com. Now, go make it a great day. Ask me why.